Hey, Bharat, you need to adjust your camera, mate. You've got too much headroom.
Oh, sorry. Is that better, Mel? Is that?
Oh my! You have got to be kidding me.
It's true. Eric Bischoff said it on his show. It's not always been. It's not always been talent. Sometimes it's just great hair.
I can't cope. Let's just get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Ridiculous. The ridiculous being clearly represented by Bharat here, and I'm feeling very, very inadequate with my hair up today. So I'll clearly have to make a much bigger effort next time.
Well, your hair resembles that of those cute Lhasa Apso dogs, Mel. Like, yeah, when they've not been groomed and their owners want them to look a little posh, that's the kind of. Just saying. I mean, it's so cute.
I look like a posh puppy. That's what you're saying. Thank you. The compliments just flowing in here on Good, Bad, Ridiculous. Thanks to all of you joining us live. I can see some of you have been here earlier. A big hello to Zolfi on air. Hello, Mr. Bharat, and hello, Ms. Mel. Love from west of Bengal. Well, I know that that's a place that's very dear to your heart. Hello to Rita Gupta as well. Gaurav, lovely to see you as well. It's really great. Look at it. Everyone's here. Kishore, hello to you. I hope you're well wherever you are. It's all going off, but it's lovely to see all of you. G. Paul, you guys should have a hair product sponsor. Hey, we're open to that. We're absolutely.
If you know someone, G. Paul, let them know. Yeah,
no, it's great to have you all here with us. So, hello to all of you. Feels like it's been another busy week, but it's our producer Muku said to me, "There's a lot of cricket happening right now," and I was like, there's always a lot of cricket happening. There's no quiet week. A special hello to the Internet Voyager who says, yay, I am watching it live for the very first time. Hi, guys. Love your show. Well, thanks, Internet Voyager. Yeah, we love you loving watching our show. Yes, lots of love here. It has been a crazy week, of course, where it's all about to kick off at Headingley. It's been dramatic and exciting in the Caribbean again. And the 100 has come to a conclusion, men's and women's. And we've got people from London, the tea break. Hey, guys, 6:30 a.m. and I'm buzzing day one of the test. I know what that feeling's like in the morning that a test starts. So lots and lots going on. And we're going to get in and talk about some of the things that have happened this week and come to a decision on what is the goodest, the baddest, and the ridiculousest thing of the week. So if you have any nominations, just drop them in the chat box. We would love to hear what your nominations are for the goodest, the baddest, and the ridiculousest. And yes, I make up those words, but that's just
don't
how
use them when you write. They do not.
No, okay, just don't learn English from me, is what I'm saying. Now let's bring up one of our Twitter nominations that came in, because it's a good way to start. Harsha Reviewer. 2021 has produced numerous memorable test matches, Gabba, Chattogram, Lords, and Jamaica. All final day and final hour finishes. More of the same. Where are the 4-day test match advocates now? Well, they're still out there, Harsha. Don't you stop and think for a moment that they're not out there. But yeah, it has. We have seen some really competitive tests, and it's interesting because they haven't necessarily always. We haven't seen necessarily always the highest quality test matches. If you were to say, brilliant batting from both sides, and we've seen a lot of good bowling. We've seen lots of collapses with some low-scoring tests, but in the end, we've seen a lot of really competitive ones, haven't we?
We have, and each test has been different, right? Some have been exciting finishes because they've gone up to the last wicket or the last ball at times. Others have been dramatic because of a team making a great comeback. I mean, think Gabba, think Lords. But, at the same time, think go to Chattogram or Chittagong where Kyle Mayers made that incredible debut. Or think about Sabina Park, last week? They went right down to the wire. I think West Indies have produced some great test cricket in the last 2 years, like they do always, regardless of whether win or lose. And they did so last night as well, Mel, right? Pakistan were comprehensive winners, but with the rain, it looked like there could be some drama till the end. But Pakistan pulled it off deservedly. I'm happy Pakistan won, and it's a deserved 1-1 finish to that series. But where are the, like you said, they're still there, the 4-day test match advocates. I spoke to one without taking names just 2 weeks back, and he felt that, look, I'm not saying there should be a reduction in overs, but just play more overs during the day. And my argument was, well, struggle to bowl bloody 90 overs in a day with the
Exactly.
extra half hour. And if you add more overs to the day, I don't think we might have to get to the ground. The tea break, most things cricket is woken up at 6:30 to tune into this show. We would have had to get up at 6:30 and get to the ground at 6:30. Then maybe they'll finish 100 overs in a day. That's how poor the over rates have been. So they're out there, Harsha reviewer, but for now they've been, I guess, shut up.
Just a couple of comments. One from Ashish, who says, "Where do you do your shopping, Bharat?" And there's one from Leah Schneider, who says, "Did you get that shirt from Ramiz Raja, Bharat? Sums up his career pretty well." Now, on that, Leah, I just have to say, Ramiz Raja would never be seen dead, not just in that T-shirt, but any T-shirt. Let's face it. I did wish Mark Butcher was his birthday, and I wish him happy birthday on Twitter. And I did say to him, he's one of the top 2 most stylish men in cricket in the world. Ramiz Raja is the other one. Just saying.
Yeah. And Ramesh Raja's hair, I know it's all about hair, and we're going to talk a lot about hair today, but Ramesh Raja's hair, the beauty about Ramesh Raja's hair is it's not that it's never out of place, Mel. Feels like not a strand ever moves. Even in the windiest of conditions, Ramesh Raja's hair just stays still. It's amazing how he does it. But yeah, I mean, one of the best dressers in the cricket world for sure. He's always naturally dressed, Ramesh Raja. So no comparisons there. As for Ashish, if you know where you want to get this t-shirt, go to boxofgimmicks.com. They sell a lot of wrestling t-shirts, wrestling related t-shirts, lots of good stuff in there like this. And Mel, I bought a same shirt for Andrew Wu as well. I think he had posted a picture recently on Twitter. So we'll be showcasing it together. Hopefully,
aren't you forgetting someone?
But with you, it's always about the talent, Mel. You don't need great hair. You know what I mean? Like it's just
I take great offense at that. Just a question that's come in from Rohit Singh saying, "Hello, I'd like to know your thoughts on why Virat Kohli seems to be the most hated cricketer in England and Australia, perhaps more England than Australia." I don't think he's the most hated cricketer, to be honest. Like I actually think there's a huge amount of respect for him in Australia and in England. But all it comes down to, he's a big personality, isn't he? He's a big personality who's passionate. You're never ever, left wondering what he might be feeling on the field. And I guess that just provokes a reaction. I mean, you can't imagine anyone having a really huge reaction to Cheteshwar Pujara because he just flat bat it back at you, wouldn't you? Is that sort of very, but there's Virat's just got a really sort of big dynamic personality, and the cameras love him, the TV networks love him. It's just that he's a person it's impossible to take your eyes off. I don't know. Is he the most hated? I don't think he's the most hated. Hate's a strong thing.
Hate is a strong thing. I think Australia is besotted with him. They really love Virat Kohli because in him they almost see that whole, the cliched, stereotypical Aussie spirit, the way Australians are supposed to play sport, play hard, and then party hard and all that. But I don't know so much about England. I still don't think he's hated in England, but I don't think they look up to Virat Kohli the way Australians do. And look, speaking of him being unpopular, I know a lot of people in India who are not big Virat Kohli fans, which would not have happened with a Sachin Tendulkar or even an MS Dhoni when he was at his peak. Virat Kohli has always divided opinions, even in India, right? Initially, it was always all about, why does he have to swear after he, does well on the field? Then it became, why is he speaking about the Pakistani cricketers unnecessarily? Why is he palling up to them? And now it's all about, yes, I read a few pieces written as well about, yes, India are doing great, but do you need to be ugly on the field? Do you need to, hey, Ollie's here, do you need to behave like that or in a way which kind of brings the cricketing spirit into disrepute, according to some. So he will always continue to divide opinions, not just in Australia and England, but in India as well.
It is indeed. So some nominations coming in. Apoorv Bhujang nominates Kohli and Toss. Ridiculous. He's not the only one. There are a few of them. There are a few captains who have particularly bad luck. And from all the reports about the pitch in Leeds, and I think we've got some nominations on that too, it might be one of those ones where you seriously want to win the toss. I think someone else has suggested that maybe that they should send out Ajinkya Rahane for the toss just for this one. But that does bring in. I'm going to bring in our second Twitter nomination for a couple of reasons, because it fits in with what some people are asking as well. From Snatch7777, good. The Barrett Brigade opening the innings for England. Good hair. Yeah, it's a really good haired opening pair. Also, a flat pitch will actually play in England's hands. Who would have thought? Normally, at Headingley, you might not say that. There's the old cliche about looking up, not looking down, isn't there, when it comes to Headingley? I don't know. I think it's probably a bit of both. You want to look everywhere when you're at Headingley. Just look everywhere. Because you also have to look at a certain point in the distance to see where the rain's coming from. I have actually learnt that as well. I know where that is at a few different grounds in England. We don't know exactly what the pitch will play like, but certainly that seems to be the sort of buzz coming out of Headingley, isn't it?
Yeah, dry pitch. Should India play two spinners? Will the spinners come into the game much more than you would expect them to? Look, the last time India played a test match in Leeds, and everybody's spoken about that 2002 test match because India won. They won with two spinners. And Headingley is interesting. It is one of those, it's a venue where the weather really does dictate what's going to happen. The new ball does swing, but we haven't seen so much swing with these Duke balls in this series. There's been a lot of seam movement. Jasprit Bumrah has swung it on and off. So has Jimmy Anderson, like he should. But we saw the last time there was a test match here in 2019. The pitch really dried out. People just speak about the Ben Stokes innings and, all the madness that surrounded those 50 or so balls. That's it. But if you actually, I don't know how many people have actually gone and watched the whole highlights of that match, Mel, because so much happened in that test match.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Leading into that Stokes innings. And even in that very English innings, Denley and Joe Root did not find run scoring easy, but they hung in there. It was not. It became a slow pitch. Nathan Lyon was really coming into his own, and he could have got Ben Stokes out at least 3 times. It just didn't work out. And I'm not even talking about bringing Joel Wilson here and the lost review, any of that.
Ben Stokes himself didn't find it easy to score. Remember, he was really stuck and finding it very difficult until Johnny Bairstow came in that final innings. So
he was 9 of 110 balls at one point, if I'm not mistaken. So it wasn't that easy a pitch to bat on, not to get out in a way. So maybe the second spinner does come into consideration, but I'll be surprised. They've kept Ashwin in the 12. Will he play? I don't know about the Bharat Brigade. I'll just tell you this much. I prefer Haseeb Hameed to Rory Burns because I think Haseeb Hameed still has natural straight hair, wavy hair, whereas Rory Burns' hair has got some sort of treatment, Mel. I think I can see that just by looking at it. He has used a straightener at one point, which Haseeb Hameed has not. So I'm just saying I prefer natural to, I'm nothing against Rory Burns' hair. I'm just saying my preference. That's all.
Makes sure she hides straightener from Barrett next time she sees him. Now, some more nominations. Lots of nominations coming in.
Can I pick one? Can I pick one?
Yeah, you can pick one.
Because we spoke about Virat Kohli, I think Kishore Ganesan wants, it's a quick one, we won't harp on it too long. He wants to know why Kohli looks always disinterested in press conferences. There are days. It's a very good pick, Kishore. I've all the Virat Kohli press conferences I've attended over the years. There are some days you can just look at him and well, he's in one of those moods. I don't know what that reason is. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he didn't eat too well that day. I have no idea. But some days, and regardless of what's happened in the match or what's happened in terms of news leading up to that day, some days he just walks up and he just has that look, which is the case with a lot of captains around the world, but especially with Virat. With MS Dhoni, you knew you're getting nothing anyway. So he looked the same. He would fiddle around with the pens and he would look disinterested. But with Virat Kohli, there are just days where he looks super disinterested, and you also are quite disinterested in asking a question, but you still do.
There's only one time, so the most fun I've had, well, not fun, but before the last, not the most recent time they were in Australia, but the series before, when they won it, that rained off match at the SCG. And before the test started, the SCG, he'd been asked about, the importance of the historic moment, what it would mean if they won. And he did that whole thing of, processes and just take one thing at a time and not look in the future and all this. And it was such rubbish. Like, it was clearly, it was just him batting away a question. But afterwards, I managed to get a question in the press conference at the end of that match. And I said to him, I asked him, I said, if before this test, you said that, that there was nothing particularly special about this match. What do you say about that now? And he actually smiled and just said, well, we all play mind games, don't we? And it was the most honest thing I've heard Virat Kohli say in a press conference, where he just let it slip just for a moment. It was like, yeah, I know, I gotcha, which is quite fun. I like that sort of cat and mouse.
Absolutely. But do you remember that one in Sydney in 2014 when our good friend Greg Buckle and Virat Kohli got into a little tete-a-tete, and Greg Baum asked him, like, can you guarantee that MS Dhoni is not going to play the Sydney test? Because if you remember, he had retired the previous day, and Virat Kohli said, I can't guarantee you that you'll the ceiling would fall on your face, or you'll be alive before this press conference. Oh, it was one of those.
No, Greg, you did just say Greg Baum there. I'd like to. It was Greg Buckle, not Greg Baum.
Not Greg Baum. Yeah,
I can't imagine Greg Baum getting in a tete-a-tete with anyone, really. Well, so where's another one? I thought someone, Chili and Grain, saying, spare a thought for Brits. They are in battle without weapons. Archer, Stokes, Wokes, Broad, Woods, blah, blah. It's so true. But the thing about that, okay, that's going to be really difficult. Talk about testing their jet. It's like when India were in Australia in the summer, the kind of injury depletion that you're seeing there. But as we well know, India really showed that they had that depth in fast bowling. It's going to be a huge test of England's depth in fast bowling, this test. But just, the one thing I really want to point out in this, because I think it's really important, and a couple of the English journalists have Mark Wood gets injured, misses his test. He doesn't have a central contract. Like, I don't see how that's particularly fair. And I hope the PCA are doing something about that, because Durham essentially are paying his wage, and they're not getting anything out of him. And then, plays for England, gets injured. It seems particularly unfair for me, and it doesn't sit well in the same week when you see that the ECB executives have been awarded, a couple of £1 million in bonuses. So that doesn't sit particularly well in the same week.
Yeah, especially with someone like Mark Wood, right? He just gives everything, like he leaves nothing behind. And a number of times he hits the ground is because of all the energy he puts into every delivery. And we saw him, I remember that spell in Chennai on a very hot day where you could see he was almost, it looked like he was going to pass out at any point, but he still kept running in over after over. And, Master Munchkins just brought up your point as well. I can see, Mel, about it being the most ridiculous that the ECB top brass have accepted their bonuses of £2.1 million, but 62 people have been, made redundant in the last year.
And the women, some of the women in the 100 being paid a really small amount to take part in that competition. It doesn't sit well, does it?
It doesn't, and especially when they're riding the wave of the apparent massive success of the 100 as well. Like, it doesn't. I guess there's a lot happening in English cricket right now, which behind the scenes as well, like not just on the field, which kind of makes you raise your eyebrow or both your eyebrows in some ways.
Absolutely. I'm just going through. We've got so many nominations coming. So apologies if someone's saying, "Hey Mel, no mummy's flowers in the background." No, she did attack the rosemary bush. So it smells very nice. That's rosemary. So she did put that there, but you probably can't see them there that well. But I'll just point that out, Mum.
Mel, yes. Wait. I just read something on here. Do you want to earn £1 million? You want to earn $1 million? Sorry.
Sure.
Ranjit Thorat is offering us $1 million. He's betting $1 million on us not mentioning that series between England and Australia, which is going to happen later on in this year. If we don't mention it, apparently he's betting $1 million. So doesn't it
I'm
mean
in.
we should? All right, Ranjit.
All right, you're on, Ranjit.
Like,
get ready to pay up, man.
Bring up the comment, like, you'll be hearing from both of us. Our bank details will be sent to you. We are okay with sharing the $1 million. That's fine. We can do 50-50.
Absolutely. A few people asking, I'll go into that, but look, there are a few nominations coming in about the talk, I guess, that's surrounding it. So Akshat saying nominates as good. Anderson subtly firing back ahead of Leeds test. I think someone else had mentioned, that about the whole thing about Bumrah bowling bounces, and Joe Root saying that India can get into the verbal game if they like. India are really good, and we've spoken about this before. They're very good at getting under the opposition's skin. It's very hard. I think Anderson is particularly one who gets involved in that game and can thrive on it, but can also be perhaps sucked in by it. It's going to be pretty difficult, I think, when you've got bowlers coming in without the experience or the weapons behind them, perhaps of an Anderson or an Archer or even a Wood. It becomes really hard to play those kinds of verbal games, doesn't it? You've got to back it up.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you've read Nick Holt's piece from a few hours ago, Mel, in the Telegraph, where apparently the Indian and English players got into the verbals from the ground after the end of day 3, when Bumrah did bowl those bounces to Jimmy Anderson. You saw all of them like chirping away at each other, but it continued on into the long room and at Lord's. And he goes on to explain why, because of COVID protocols. It's not a dining area for the members like it is generally. So the players can interact a lot more freely than they would have been if there are other people, just the members around. And apparently it continued there. And there is the ugliness or ugliness in some people's books is set to continue for the rest of the series. But like you said, do England have the players to back the verbals? That's the thing. And not just players, but players in form who are performing at a level where they won't get pressurized by both teams getting into verbals. So I don't think England or Jimmy Anderson, unfortunately, are in any position to do that. Now with Mark Wood gone as well.
But the irony is, though, Mark Wood is the least likely to be giving verbals. He's more likely to be laughing too, isn't he? He's probably got more chance to or more right to give out verbals, but he's more likely to pat his imaginary horse or do whatever it is he does with a smile on his face.
He does, but at least he can bowl at 95, 96 and, threaten the Indian batsman with the ball, if not with his verbals. But hey, and also apologies to Lee Schneider. Dinesh Karthik is among stylish cricketers. Shame on me for not bringing him up. But I was specifically talking about Ramiz Raja's hair. There's no comparison with Dinesh Karthik has set his own. I'm waiting for the DK brand to make it to the market. I think Mel and I will be very happy to invest and buy a couple of t-shirts ourselves if DK is ready to do that.
Maybe. I'm still sticking with Ramiz Raja and Mark Butcher. I'm staying with that. There you go. There's Ranjit. Okay, the bet's on. We're not mentioning the A word. But a couple of other things that are happening that we need to mention as well. Nominations coming in. One from Animesh Yadav at 346, who says, ridiculous. When will we see women playing 4-5 test match series rather than one-off matches? It's a shame that the likes of Elise Perry and others have played for 15 years and still just played 8 odd tests. Well, spare a thought for someone like Susie Bates, who's never played a test. So that's a fair thing. I think that's a long way off. There is a bit of there is a push in Australia to have some red ball domestic cricket, multi-day cricket, which I think would be an important next step. And I think you need to have that kind of base in countries where they're able to play more domestic multi-day red ball cricket before they could actually play across a series. I actually love the multi-format series. I think it's just so great. But the thing I think is ridiculous at the moment, I mean, is that you've got India have announced their squad. It's bringing some new blood in for that, 22 players. So it's a big squad, which you can understand in these COVID times. But the first ODI is due to be on the 17th. So you would imagine they would need to be flying out here next week, and we still don't know where they're flying to. So the problem for those of you who aren't in Australia is that they try finding it really hard, Cricket Australia, to get Elise Perry and all the other New South Wales players out of New South Wales, because the rest of the country has shut its borders. So it's really hard to get any kind of dispensation. And I know that Cricket Australia have been tearing their hair out, trying really hard to sort it out with the states. So it's supposed to start in Sydney. It's not going to be starting in Sydney. The players have all got their bags packed, ready to fly off somewhere, but they don't know where. And it's actually going to be easier to get India into wherever they're going to play the series than it's going to be to get the New South Wales players to another state. That's got to be up there for a nomination for ridiculousest of the week, surely.
Yeah, I mean, with that India-Australia series, we know who's going to play. Both teams have picked their squad, but I don't think anybody from the Indian camp, they don't seem to know where they're going. They know they're coming to Australia. At least they know the country they're coming to. Well, for the Australian players, as you said, Mel, I think they're going to soon have a camp, or I don't know whether that camp will be attended by everyone. The Indian camp has started at the NCA in Bangalore. I saw our good friend Snail Pradhan put out a video yesterday, but apart from that, yeah, it is all up in the air. It's they've cut it so close as well. They cut it so fine. I heard that the Indians are flying out of India soon. Where they land, where they play, it's all up in the air. And like New South Wales, had 900 plus cases today. Victoria is not faring too well. And like you said, even for me in South Australia, I'm vaccinated. South Australia has no cases. If I have to go to Perth, I still have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and it's not cheap quarantining by yourself. I don't think my company is going to pay for it, nor is yours. So
I don't think I can. I don't think that they'd even allow me at the moment. I think I'm just stuck here. I don't think I can go anywhere. So it's a really difficult situation. And yeah, they are cutting. As soon as we know where India is going to, well, we know where it is. And I just think that test match in Perth is in real danger of taking place there at the WACA, which would be a huge shame. But getting into Perth from anywhere in Australia at the moment is just incredibly difficult. So we'll see if they're able to. I also want to mention a nomination from Rishabh Thakur, who nominates as good. Shaheen Shah Afridi comes of age in Test cricket. What a performance by him. And the up and down of that Test series, the last time we were talking about Kimar Roach and Jaden Seals and, all the drama of that. And then you see the complete turnaround in the second one, just another chapter in this wild rivalry between those two countries. But I love Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's really, I find him quite a fascinating bowler to watch, and I've enjoyed watching his progress over time, like coming through white ball and making his mark in white ball. And we have to see if it's sustained over a long period of time. There are lots of players who come of age and who come of age about 20 times in their career. So we'll see how that goes. But incredible performance from him.
Yeah, and I read somewhere, Mel, that he's, I think, one of the few bowlers to have taken a 10-wicket match haul before turning 21. And look, what a future he has. And hey, don't forget, he also tried teaching or helping the Royals have a game of cricket in Pakistan. If you remember, was it Prince William and whatever Prince William's wife's called? I'm sorry, I don't keep. I'm not always on top of things when it comes to the Royals, Mel. You are better than me. But Prince William and his wife, when they traveled to Pakistan a couple of years ago, there was that famous picture of Shaheen Shah Afridi right behind them, helping the Duchess play a cover drive, or guiding or coaching her to do that anyway. And yeah, he made his name as a white ball bowler, but he's getting more and more consistent with the red ball. We saw him in Australia a couple of summers ago. He would have spells, and I remember being in the box with Wasim Akram, who was doing commentary, and he wanted him to have that same intensity as the day wore on. And we saw that in this test match. He's won them a test match, which easily could have headed towards a draw with weather affecting it as well. And I saw somebody also bring up Fawad Alam's
Fawad
form.
Alam, yes.
What an incredible story that is. And
that's got to be one of the best stories in world cricket, like of the past 5 years, I reckon, easily. It's just an amazing story. Those wasted years. I suppose then you wouldn't have the story, would you?
Hello, you wouldn't. Yeah, there is Ollie. I don't know what she's looking for. I hope she doesn't pick up something she doesn't belong to her. But yeah, it is. And his stance, everybody speaks about. I always say if George Bailey's stance had a baby with Shivnara and Chandrapal's stance, it gives it gives birth to Fawad Alam's stance. But forget about however he stands at the crease, just the way he scores runs, it's just incredible. 400s in 4 different conditions, 4 different countries. And yeah, I mean, looking at him, he could play Test cricket for the next 6-7 years. So a lot to look forward to with Fawad Alam. And another beautiful stat from Kaustubh, who does outstanding work on Twitter, Mel, that the last 7 tests between West Indies and Pakistan, there's been a different winner each time. That's pretty cool. Like when you talk about rivalry, you bring up India, Australia, India, England, or that other one that's going to happen later this year. Ranjit, you see what I did that? It rarely happens like that. So it's right up there in terms of test rivalries for me.
It is. Now there are a few things coming in as far a few nominations and questions about Ashwin. If I'm just picking one out from Jaideep Singh, ridiculous. Ashwin sitting out of 3 consecutive tests after his performance last time. Just on that, I mean, it's always an astonishing thing when you see a player of the caliber of Ashwin ever sitting out, even though it may be for a various combination of reasons to do with the conditions, the balance of the side, the number of right-handed versus left-handed batters in the opposing line. There are all sorts of reasons why that might happen. Still, always seems ridiculous, right? But a few people asking, do you think Ashwin will play in this test match, and who would he replace?
Well, they've kept him in the 12, so they've kept everyone guessing. Look, I was speaking to someone the other day, and I said it also depends on what the skies are like when Virat Kohli goes out for the toss. But I was only semi-joking. I still find it very difficult for India to move away from their 4 fast bowler strategy, because they wanted to stick with it, and now that it's worked, the only change, if anything, I thought would be Shardul Thakur just coming back, because he does swing the ball a lot more than everybody else in that bowling attack. So that was the only thing, but I don't think that's happening either. So maybe India will just stick to that playing 11. Maybe if they look back to 2002, like everybody else is, like 2 spinners, 1 India test match. So maybe that's the only way I see Ashwin playing. And also a big shout out to Way. I think we have someone watching us for the first time, and he thinks that his name is a mouthful, but Veera Raghavan Ramachandran, as a South Indian myself, I find it easy. If Mel can pull it off, then...
Wait, hang on. I need to find it. Oh, wait. If you find it and bring it up, I'll have a go. I'll try and do it.
It's, I think, at 3:53 your time. It's such a beautiful name in terms of the syllables it has, Mel. I think you'll find it easy. You're good with Indian names anyway, but...
I'll try. Veera Raghavan Ramachandran.
Beautiful. There you go.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you just straight out of the park. Yeah, absolutely. 10 on 10. Yeah. I'm sure Veera Raghavan loved that.
Veera Raghavan, I hope I've got that right.
I can tell you he has, as a fellow South Indian myself. Does Kohli have a technical issue, or is it just a bad patch? I think, if anything, it's he's just, I think we spoke about this last week as well, it's his desperation to somehow own this series. You can see it in his face after the way he got out, the way he's walked out, because he looks pretty solid so far, even though he's not at his best. But I put it more down to him just not feeling like the Virat Kohli that he the Virat Kohli of old, in the sense he wants to own the situation, and maybe that time will come now, or maybe in the tests to come. But I don't think it's so much of a technical thing as of now. But we'll see if he doesn't make 50 again in the series or in this match.
Well, and it might be difficult too for someone who is such a dynamic personality and who has had such a huge impact on tests, not just test matches but test series. But what happened in Australia, obviously when they had the big loss and then he wasn't around for the next one, that may have been quite like he would have absolutely loved seeing the team do well and been incredibly proud. And we said at the time it was still very much Virat Kohli's team. It wasn't that it wasn't his team anymore, and he'd had so much to do with that success and building up and bringing that team together. But it probably would be difficult too. You can imagine, as a really competitive person who always does sort of make such an impact, that might be quite a tricky thing to handle, and I think that would be quite sort of understandable as well. That's what I'm saying. So just checking that with so many nominations, I
will say this, Mel. We don't need to bring it up, but someone, Pawan Pingle, wanted to know what India's strategy could be to Joe Root. I won't be surprised if in his first 15 or 20 balls, they bowl at least 5 or 6 balls just slightly wider of off stump, because so far the way he's gotten out is when he's kind of just pushed his bat out. And, especially when you're batting so well and you're feeling bat on ball so well, that could be a temptation. Don't be surprised if that happens, especially if he is facing the seamers when he walks out to bat. That could be one. I do hope that Haseeb Hamid scores runs. My copy, beautiful copy that I wrote last week just went to waste because he did nothing. So I'm glad he's still in the team. So I'll get a chance to replug it. Anything else that catches your eye, Mel?
Look, we've got so many, and I'm afraid I'm going to just bring up something from Shankar Narayanan Iyer, who says, ridiculous nomination. Virat Kohli on 8 is just too. Just popped out. Virat Kohli 8 is just 2 toss losses in England away from equaling Nasser Hussain's 10 most consecutive toss losses in England. I just want to applaud that. That is a great stat. So we'll be on Toss Watch tomorrow, which sounds like very bad, and I don't know if I want to say that. So at this point, I think we're going to go through and put you on the spot and take your winners. So drum roll, it is time for the goodest thing of the week. Angel Barrett.
Yes, I think Angel Bharat picks Fawad Alam. What a great story. I know, there's so much that has happened in the cricket world in the last week. The 100 finishing, like you said, we have new first ever 100 winners and all that. But the story of persistence, the story of never giving up, and all the goodness that comes with playing sport is basically the Fawad Alam story. He went, 10, 11 years without ever giving up, right? Averaging 56 in first-class cricket over that period. And it just tells you it kind of pays off. And that's one of the main reasons we love to watch sport, right? When you watch someone like that who just hangs in there and eventually things start turning his way. And they have. Look, he's played 100 in a series leveling match, and full credit to him. Hopefully someday we can watch him play Test cricket against India.
Oh, yeah. And just like to see him out here in Australia as well. It'd be really, really good too. And yeah, it's just a great story. We should all go through life as persistent as Fawad Alam. Okay, time for the baddest thing of the week. Hey! What is the baddest thing? I'm wondering if you're going to pick what that's really sort of shook me this week in thinking it's bad.
Yes, I am going with that. Just reading Mark Boucher's or the piece about Mark Boucher coming out and admitting to all the nonsense that used to happen in the South African dressing room back in the day when he was very much a part of the senior group. Paul Adams, the team called him brown shit, and singing songs about where they refer to him as brown shit. It just. Yes, credit to Mark Boucher for being the first white player, senior player from that group to come out and talk about it. I guess he had his hands were tied as well, considering his current role with the South African team. But it just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth. And I am not a fan of some people, or not fan. I don't accept just a sorry as an apology when someone like that comes out and says that. And when you talk about being immature in your late 20s and early 30s and calling someone brown shit, a teammate in the dressing room, and try and trying to just not justify but apologize for it, saying we were just immature. I don't know. And I remember Mel Mackay and Tini, this is 2013 tour of South Africa. I was with two South African journalists, two colored South African journalists, in one corner of the Wanderers press box, and the next test was in Durban. And Makaya was doing commentary, and he just came and he started talking to the three of us. But it was more them than us. And I remember him saying, like, is South Africa really a rainbow nation? Like, they talk about it, but I remember my time, like, I was in the team, and at one point, the only colored cricketer when Paul Adams wasn't playing. And at the end of the day's play, I know I was famous for running from the ground to the hotel. Half the time it was because nobody wanted me to accompany them. I would call people to find out if they were going out for dinner. They would have already gone. And half the times I would just have room service. And he spoke about how he felt, not as like he was not part of that team. And his question was like, and they call this a rainbow nation? Like, how? And it really, I was just sitting there listening to him. You could feel like what he must have gone through, like, without ever being able to imagine that, really. And now this has come out. Yeah, it's just bad. It doesn't sit well with me or you. I know that for a fact, but it needs to end.
I was saying, as I was saying to you before, I think that I was sitting there reading that, but both of them actually, because when you look at what's happening with Azim Rafiq at Yorkshire and this report that doesn't seem like anyone's getting to see, and describing racist behavior as inappropriate behavior, all that sort of thing. I mean, but I was reading that stuff, as particularly that Paul Adams stuff was grim reading. It really was. And I was sitting there thinking, I feel sick, and I'm a middle-class white woman who's grown up, lived most of her life in England and Australia. How must it affect other people reading this who've experienced it? And how much must it have affected him who actually did go through it? Oh, man. So, and the other thing with that too is it's like, how does cricket handle this going forward? So you've got all these historic incidents that go back maybe 10 years, but they're still there now. You've got people in very senior positions who were involved in the rebel tours of South Africa back in the day as well. How does cricket kind of deal with that? And I think that's a question that cricket is really trying to grapple with at the moment, because there are obviously a lot of people who've been involved in this awful behavior and had these awful attitudes who are still really influential. And can people change? Can people develop? What about the people who are affected by it? It's a big mess, and I don't think cricket's worked out how to handle it yet.
I don't know whether cricket will ever. At least they've started acknowledging it, but the next thing is to I've also heard some people say, oh, it's because a winning team, these things will never come out. But I don't think it's about winning and losing. You're only losing if that's the culture you have in your dressing room. Yeah,
absolutely. So that definitely is the baddest thing. But look, let's finish up on a lighter note, maybe, with the ridiculousest thing. What you got? Oh, man. I've been waiting for that. I wanted to go and buy some, but I can't go into any shops because they're all closed where I am. No new T-shirts or glasses for me.
Well, this is bought online, but the only reason I have these is because it was book week in Isha's school, and I think, I think in all schools in South Australia, and I think they were doing something with colorful monsters or something like that. And it's not that I was dressed up as a monster and taken to school. Could have, show and tell could have been me. But while we were there, I spotted these and I thought of our show, and there you go. These will be used from now on. But I think get some. Winner for the ridiculous is, I saw it somewhere earlier, someone mentioned it, and we haven't spoken about it so far on the show, is Craig Brathwaite getting Azhar Ali out, because I've played in a lot of journalist matches in the last 10-15 years where you'll have this 52-year-old team official or like a administrator from the Mumbai Cricket Association, and they're the toughest to face, right? When they'll come and just lob one ball up and the ball never gets to you, and you played 4 shots in your head already, and you're not in rhythm anyway, so your feet are not moving. Nothing's in coordination anyway. And then you throw your bat, and then you can actually see the ball go past your bat and slowly hit the stump. And it's quite tragic. Thankfully for Azhar Ali, he did connect with his shot. What the ball, it was recorded at 37 kilometers an hour or 37 miles an hour. It's just incredible that you would see a wicket like that in international cricket, that too in a test match. But for me, it just stood out because it just brought back all those terrible memories of facing those 56-year-old uncles, like, tossing the ball up and the ball never landing. But they were the ones who, that's the funny thing, right? In journalist matches, or that real amateur cricket, as I would like to call it, it's those kind of bowlers who end up with figures of 4 for 6 or all that. Guys who run in like me and try to bowl fast at our age, it doesn't work out. Yeah, it's those guys. Yeah, so Craig Brathwaite make a great cricket Ilga. His record as a bowler will really improve once he retires.
Well, yeah, they're quite so. It was an astonishing ball. That's it from us this week. Yeah, put those back on. Thank you all so much. I'm sorry we couldn't get to everyone. We just had so many comments flooding in, but we really, really, really appreciate all of you coming on. It means a huge amount to us. Especially for me, who's locked down with nowhere to go, literally, and probably will be for weeks and weeks to come. But hey, I'm fully vaxxed. My arm's sore, but I'm fully vaxxed. So that's the main thing. Let's get ready to watch some Test cricket. Bring it on. The Battle of Headingley. Let's do it. And don't forget to send us any nominations for anything you see during the test or anything else throughout the week. Please just put on that hashtag, good, bad, ridiculous. And we'd love to feature it in the show. It's a good way to get on if you send it to us early. You just never know. So until next time, all of you out there, take care, take safe, look after your hair, of course. And we'll see you soon. Bye.